We all have been here before. You want that house sweep, you want them ankles, you crouch dash in for the hard mix, or maybe you want to surprise them with one of these, but the mix-up gods just aren't on your side. You all have seen my instant while standing tutorial. Now it's time to get into its less talked about counterpart, instant full crouch. Let's get it. Two guides I've been inspired by, one from Speed Kicks, which provides a series of exercises and drills to nail down the execution for KBD, and one from PDX for reminding people to integrate KBD into their regular movement and actually practice punishing whiffs in the lab, which is the whole point of KBD, not just to run away. This is going to be my approach for teaching instant full crouch, starting with application. But let's take a quick breakdown. To get a better idea of the true strength of a move, it helps to not only look at it in isolation, but also see how it stands up to similar moves in the game. So briefly, Raven's hull sweep is one of the more damaging sweeps in the game, dealing 5 more than Kazuya's. It tracks decently in both directions, and because it comes out of crouch state, it naturally crushes highs, as all full crouch lows do. As for weaknesses, there is of course a high penalty for a blocked sweep. Raven's hull sweep also has a bit of less range than Kazuya's. This means some characters generally do have an easier time backdashing out of it. Raven's sweep also has quite long recovery, 47 to 49 frames, almost a second long, but this is fair as Raven's hurt box is quite close to the ground, so it makes it easy to whiff punish her once she starts getting up. And sadly, Raven's hull sweep is semi-cursed by Harada's finger. The second hit is prone to whiffing, especially when close to the wall, but can also happen if Raven is off axis. And even if you don't finish the string to opt for follow-ups, the back 3 can also whiff. Some feel that Raven's sweep coming out of full crouch is a weakness because that gives away what you're up to, but that's not a real flaw. If that's how you feel, tell me you've never been caught by Anna's full crouch down forward 2. More importantly, most of Raven's lows are either light pokes or reactable launches. Raven's sweep is her only low that's unseeable and gives her a knockdown. Not to say the rest are bad, they have their own purpose, but Raven's sweep is what gives her true 50-50 potential. This idea is big enough to warrant its own section. An important weakness or limitation to talk about for key moves is risk. You might think the risk is the same for Kazuya and Raven since their sweeps are both launch punishable, but it's not quite the same. It's always important to look at the bigger picture. To start, Raven does not have a safe mid-launcher like Kazuya. And for the hull sweep itself, when Kazuya risks his launch punishable sweep, he's risking the chance to be plus 17 with the opponent next to him. So he gets more than just a free follow-up. He gets to start his vortex. He can steel petty you to death if you stay down, or if you wake up he can hull sweep you again, resetting the situation. Or he can throw out forward 3, which whilst a bit slow is only -3 on block. And when Raven risks her launch punishable sweep, she gets to be -4, and the opponent is further away. The situation is more or less neutral. Even if Raven only does the first hit, it's not a forced guess for the opponent. She gets a follow-up and then neutral is restored afterwards. This isn't to say Raven's sweep is bad. It's a great low, but because the risk is higher, you're not at luxury to keep going for the hard 50-50 repeatedly. For this reason and others, Raven isn't actually a 50-50 mix-up character. It's more accurate to say that Raven is a timing character. You need to get a good sense of your opponent's timing to fish for that counted while standing 2. And as you'll see, getting the most out of Raven's sweep is a matter of timing, not guessing. So let's look at other applications for this low. So if Raven is a more timing based character, when's the best time for a hull sweep? Here's the rule that's going to define this video. Your opponent can't block lows they are not expecting. It sounds obvious, but yes, the best time or opportunity for a hull sweep is when your opponent is mentally preoccupied with something else or they're just asleep at the wheel. That means there's no risk on your part. And you'll become better at being able to seize such moments when you can start picking up on odd moments when your opponent's mental stack might be loaded, which is most typically after an interaction. So it goes that generally your opponent should not have any tell for the first hell sweep. If that first hell sweep gets blocked, then either your opponent got lucky or you're in serious trouble. But you see, that whole impression that the first hell sweep is free or that your opponent shouldn't be able to read it, that highlights that the first hell sweep is not a mix-up. The first hell sweep is about timing. It's not about making the opponent guess, but more about catching them off guard, and that's what I want to hammer in on this video. So when you use hell sweep during wavy pressure or after something like down back 3 or back turn down 4, that is the most telegraphed way to use hell sweep. Your opponent's attention is 100% on what you're doing. All they need to do is guess correctly. The outcome will come down to luck. So these telegraphed approaches to using hell sweep come with maximum risk. The opponent is on full alert. You could get interrupted or launched if they guess right. This ideally shouldn't be the way you use hell sweep most of the time. You want to minimize risk as much as you can, and it's possible as mentioned in the beginning. The key is to move away from using hell sweep in setups towards using it in neutral. You need to be able to pull the trigger on hell sweep anytime raw and neutral, so that it's less about mix-ups and more about timing, which works better for you and puts more stress on the opponent. And that's where instant full crouch comes in. We've covered the application and how you should be thinking about it. Now we come to the execution. So like instant while standing, there's several different input methods for instant full crouch. Here's the universal method: down, down back, down, down forward. But as a pad player myself, I use this one: back, down down forward. And I think pad players in particular will prefer the second input because it's a clear, swift, single motion as opposed to the first one, which is two motions. And as we'll see, what's important when practicing is keeping the inputs clean rather than raw speed. For the second input, just think of it as doing a half circle motion. You start at B and circle your way to forward. But instead of going all the way to forward, you stop at down forward. And that's really all there is to it. For instant execution methods like this, the trick really is using filler inputs to help get consistent timing, because consistency is what you want to aim for first before speed. For instance, you could technically do instant while standing 2 with up forward neutral 2 or up back neutral 2. That's theoretically the fastest input method for instant while standing. It's great for tool assistant bots, but not consistent method for human players. Since we want consistency, you want to start getting a feel for the motion slowly, getting a clean sequence of inputs. Get used to the feeling of stopping at down forward. It's pretty important for Raven in a variety of situations. Move on to getting a clean motion, 3 or 5 or however many reps you want. Important to move at your own pace. You want to build muscle memory for the motion. Now to focus on the timing. Raven's hell sweep requires you to be in crouch for 12 frames before you can execute it. For the timing, you're just going to have to get a feel for that 12 frame window, which can be off-putting for some. We're going to look at some drills, some that help you get used to small setups you're actually going to use in game, but some help specifically to get used to the timing. So let's dig in. Originally this drill was to be done with the half circle forward motion, but I found it easier to simply crouch after a dash, then pull the trigger on hell sweep. And this is where this became an exercise in timing. As a visual aid to help minimize guesswork, as soon as you see Raven inching forward, you're in the clear to pull the trigger. Think of it as doing a combo that needs a slight delay in order for it to work. So it helps to use down forward to crouch so you can see that walking animation. But you can still crouch with just down if you want. Just remember to lean into down forward to get the hell sweep. Sidestep into instant full crouch is a bit tricky, but this is something you'd actually want to use in game. Doing a quick sidestep into instant full crouch after jab, down forward 1 or down 3 really helps to sneak in this chunky low. Especially helpful if your opponent is mostly whiffing small pokes. Tishimon did this frequently in his match with Kokoma. Watching for the crouch walk really helps here as well. While you may not need more than 1 or 2 backdash cancels, where dash into instant full crouch was an exercise in timing, KBD into instant full crouch will exercise your precision. A common issue with special input techniques like this is people doing the inputs too fast. And here you really can't rush the inputs with this drill. This one requires you to be precise and patient while switching swiftly from KBD to instant full crouch. Big bonus if you can get as many reps as Pinya. So once you've got the base execution down, these drills will help you to hammer in the muscle memory. You not only want to pull the trigger on hell sweep raw, but to truly maximize its potential, you want to use it in a multitude of situations, like after a poke, sidestep, trade, or even a throw break. These are a bit harder, but certainly help again with getting used to the timing. And as always, be sure to practice all of these on the player 2 side as well. We are now coming to the last exercise. And likely the hardest and most powerful technique in this video. The single crouch dash into hell sweep. At first it was believed that you had to input crouch dash motions very quickly to get this right. But now it's been decisively revealed that it again comes down to timing. To get the hell sweep after 1 CD, you need to input the command after 21 frames. Anything earlier and you'll get haze. Remember the first drill where I explained just doing plain crouch into down forward? Similar thing here. So I kind of just stumbled onto this, but it turned out to be a helpful exercise. After a poke like jab or down 3, do a single crouch dash. Again keeping short to end on down forward. And what you want to do is hit 3+4 when you see Raven's head start coming up as a visual cue. Single crouch dash opens a lot of opportunities that would not exist otherwise. Hell sweep as a round opener now becomes a reality. Single crouch dash into hell sweep complements crouch dash into while standing 1. You can sneak in a single crouch dash, hell sweep to punish or chase smaller whiffs you wouldn't be able to with a launcher. It allows you to sneak in hell sweeps quickly when jockeying back and forth. Single crouch dash allows you to take serious advantage of your plus frames, especially after landing a poke or punish. You can now buy yourself a much stronger 50-50. A single CD will now get your opponent to become more agitated, leading to more panicked responses or twitch ducking, which can then open them up to roll back turn or down forward 4, etc. And it provides you with an additional way when taking back your turn. For Raven responding to safe options that are -7, you don't always have to respond with an attack, but you can also respond with movement or by going into stance raw, which is where your stronger options are. So it can definitely give you some edge to respond with a single dash mix. You don't always have to commit to a hard read. Just the single dash itself will stress out your opponent, and the threat of a single dash hell sweep opens up a host of other options. And this can also allow you to get away with close range quarter circle forward 2s if you're feeling particularly ballsy. So, I hope it's clear the wide variety of ways Raven Sweep can be applied. Its usage is really only limited by the player's creativity. Whilst making this, Go Attack was invited to a deathmatch against Lowhigh, and because Lowhigh was blocking 99% of all down 4s, Raven Sweep became the only low that posed any threat whatsoever. That first to 10 is a good case study of why House Sweep is so important for Raven, but also Go Attack's ingenuity in finding different ways to use House Sweep and put up a real fight. I'm going to leave more examples playing on screen, but in closing, House Sweep is objectively Raven's best low. You cannot limit its usage to telegraphed setups. This is a top shelf House Sweep. You just need to learn how to use its full potential. Potential that's not possible without instant full crouch. As always, thanks for watching and happy holidays. Let's hope this character gets to make base roster for Tekken 8. Because I feel we still haven't seen what Raven is fully capable of, and this character's really not been given a proper chance.